What's happening, people? Scarfy Spurstalk here, back with another one of these weekly live shows every Monday, 8 p.m. Today, I'm joined by four fabulous guests. Firstly, a regular on the channel now, Rachael. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Harry?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, great to have you on again. It's great to hear
Thank you for
you're
having
well.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. And welcome to Josh, who I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but your debut on the channel. I love in the background behind you. Fantastic. We've definitely discussed that. But Josh, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on, Harry. It's a pleasure to join you today.
It's a pleasure to have you on, Josh. You know, you're always welcome. Travis, it's great to have you back on. You know, you made your debut last week and back on for your second appearance. So how have you been?
Buzzing, mate. Even better that little team down the road lost yesterday. It's absolutely the whole weekend. So I've waited all day to get that out of my mouth on this podcast. My day is done now. So up to
you will definitely have the opportunity later. I promise. We've got to discuss this. Alfie, do you expect to have you on? So it's an absolute pleasure. So how are you doing, Alfie?
Doing good.
Yeah.
As he said, glad that Arsenal bottled the league. Just remember they bottled a 13-point lead.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How far clear were they as well? But no, it's good to have you on. So let's get into it, shall we?
Alfie.
Yeah, let's get into it. Discuss the game, sadly. Rachael, I'm going to come to you first. I want to know your thoughts on the team when it was announced, obviously being unchanged once again. So what were your initial thoughts on the lineup? Anyone you wanted to see in there?
No, I was quite happy with the team news. I thought, again, Eric Dyer's been dropped. I was really looking forward to it. I thought, right, we can go again after last week, and we can push on. And sadly, it didn't go the way that we need to learn the offside rule, because both Sonny and Richie were both on offside every time. Every time they got the ball, they was offside.
Right, why do you think that is, Rachael? What do you put that down to?
They're not learning in training. What are they doing? That's like I said. What are they doing? Eating cake and tea? They're clearly not doing nothing in training. They clearly don't know the offside rule. They should do get all this money to run around doing nothing. So it's frustrating to watch again. But I knew as soon as I was like, that's it. They scored. I was like, we're over.
Here we go again. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, Rachael. Josh, what were your thoughts on the team? Like I said, it was unchanged. I think Dyer missed out through injury. I mean, he was dropped the last game. Perisic dropped again. Did you want to see Danjuma, or is there anyone else you wanted to see in there?
Of course, there's players that I'm sure we'd all like to see and systems we would like to see. But I think, to be honest, at this point, it's all damage limitation. So I was okay, with the team news. I was a bit indifferent to it, to be honest. I feel quite numb about the whole situation, really. I think what I've learnt now is one game is not enough for us to make a genuine opinion on players or combinations of players. For example, in the Palace game, we were talking about Romero and Porro being a nice little combination on that right-hand side. And clearly, it's a car crash waiting to happen. So, I'm not going to get too frustrated with the team news. I think, if we were going to talk about substitutions, that's a whole nother, question.
What would you change in the game, in game management? What would you change if you were Ryan Mason?
Well, I mean, for starters, I wouldn't be listening to a senior player to make you make a decision. The fact that Perisic goes over to try and get Danjuma on the pitch, and Ryan Mason eventually listens to the advice of Perisic, I mean, that says everything you need to know. Mason's clearly out of his depth. Danjuma could have come on a lot earlier. I think Son could have come off a lot earlier as well. You know, at what point do we start to realise certain players just are not impacting a game at all?
Yeah.
And if anything, they're a detriment to our team, because when you're a player like Son, and by the way, it's not just this game where we need to be saying to Son, you know, come on, learn the offside rule. Time and time and time again. This is and even when he was at his best, he was still offside far too many times. You know, and if that's the way he's being told to play on the last man, get in behind, then that ball's got to come quicker. So clearly something is not going right there. So yeah, I mean, I could go on probably for hours about what you could do, what you shouldn't have done, subs here, subs there. But overall, I just feel numb to it all, to be honest. It's another disappointing game and a result that we shouldn't be, you know, coming away with. But, you know, nobody can say we deserved anything more than a defeat.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Josh. I definitely like that explanation. I agree with definitely a lot of what you said. Travis, what did you make of the team beforehand, and what would you change during the game if you were Ryan Mason? Like Josh said, would you have brought Dan Juma on earlier? Did Son need to come off earlier, or would you change anything?
I think Josh has hit the nail on the head there with feeling numb massively, because I think Dan Juma's not getting enough game time. I think that in itself speaks volumes of what Daniel Levy does. You know, I've said all along, he raided Everton to get Dan Juma, to get what's he had, half an hour in total game time, if that.
Probably just about, yeah.
And I think, as I said, dropping Eric Dyer is one of the best things we can do at the moment, because he's way off playing decent football. He has been for a long time. I mean, I only watched 15 minutes of the game because I was trying to find the live stream on my phone while walking around central London. So while I was doing that, trying to enjoy London, I don't know. That's what we do as Tottenham fans. But I think Sonny's off his game massively. I think Harry Kane's head is elsewhere. You know, Harry Kane is a professional, and I think his head is in a different direction to where he wants to be. But who knows where Harry will be next year? He might leave in the summer, he might not. I don't know. But again, he needs to know the direction of what way the club is going, because at the moment we have got no direction. But as in regards to the team, Porro, you know, he should be getting more game time anyway. That's why we bought him. You know, we all raved about him and said, you know, his best thing since sliced bread is what we really need. He's the missing Kyle Walker. But it's our defence. Our defence is absolutely abysmal. And yeah, you could put different 11 men on the pitch. Would it have changed the game? Probably not.
No, that's the thing. I think you make a very, very good point. Alfie, if you can hear me, what do you make of the team? We'll come back to Alfie in a moment when he's back with us. Travis, I will come back to you though, and I want to know your thoughts on the game. Like 2 days on, did we deserve anything out of the game?
A little part of me wants to say yes, but an even bigger part of me wants to say no, because we are playing the same repetitive football every game. We don't know how to glue. There's no every player is on a different planet. You've probably got a very select few players there that are playing to win a football match, whereas the other players are just completely elsewhere. I think Villa are absolutely outstanding. They know how to play football. Again, they're one of the smaller teams, so to speak, like Brentford. They know how to play football together. Tottenham Hotspur at the moment don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. No, fair enough. Alfie, what did you make of the team selected?
Baffled. To be, I'm happy that Dyer got dropped. It was on the bench, but the same question: why is Dan Juma not being played?
Yeah. 100%. Did we
He
deserve anything out of the game for you? Did we deserve? No. Did we deserve to lose?
we we should have got battered because we were playing poor. We kept on giving them opportunities, and every time they came forward, I thought they were going to score. And Tottenham, at the moment, are in a complete shambles. We've got no manager. The women's haven't got no manager. We've got no director. Something needs to happen, otherwise we could end up relegation. So and fans will be clocking on to that, but something needs to change within the club.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Alfie. I think a lot of Spurs fans agree with you. Rachel, do you agree with Alfie there? You know, do you think we deserve to get better than that scoreline could have been a lot bigger?
I agree with Alfie on this one. Yeah. We had a couple of chances that we could have put away. We chose not to take it.
Yeah.
So it's our own fault again. It's the same old football every single week without a shadow. You know who's like apart from the team, but you know what's gonna happen on the pitch. It's just a repeat. It's a repeat every Saturday. It's like go to work. Obviously they're working, but it's nothing changed, and I can't. It's like I'm numb. I feel absolutely numb. First time in a long time I have felt this numb and disconnected with my football team. I loved the buzz of watching it Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, get my roast dinner, couple of beers, have a fag, boom, come on, let's have it. Yeah, I'm laughing at my own team. I'm like, this is championship team. This ain't even a Premier League. It's embarrassing. And as Alfie said, something needs to change big time.
Yeah,
I want to call out the voice. I want to call out the voice of the fans.
Go for it.
THFC or whatever TH. Like,
well, the supporters trust.
They're meant to be the voice of fans, but we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll give you an opportunity with that because I did react to the increase of the One Hotspur membership today. So we will discuss that. Josh, I know you basically said, but yeah, did we deserve anything out of that game? Do you think that scoreline could have been bigger? Yeah, what do you kind of think of our performance again from Tottenham?
What I'm confused by is the fact that there are moments where we can play really, really well, and there's actually some brilliance in there for albeit 5-minute spells in games.
Yeah.
And you wonder where on earth we'd be without Harry Kane. And I've got to say, you know, if Harry Kane does leave, I don't think he will leave. My understanding is he's going to go nowhere, and there's no way, even with the amount of mistakes that Daniel Levy has made, that's one that I don't think he's going to make. You know, but we're in serious trouble without him. And I mean, to score 27 goals in the Premier League in this shambles of a side, it is just an unbelievable achievement. We were lucky to only lose 2-1. Could have been more, should have been more. Fraser Forster, I think he's made his first real mistake. Has he
got to do better there for you? He's got to do better. Has he got to save that?
He's 6'7". I'm sorry if you can't save that. It wasn't in the corner. You know, it was actually, it wasn't quite in the corner. It was at a good height.
Has the wall got to do better for you?
I'm not going to expect too much from the wall because at the end of the day, it's a bit of luck because all that can happen is, you know, he hits it a couple of inches lower and it hits the wall. So it's very fine margins. There's an element of Kane. Douglas Luiz has done well with the free kick there, but the fact that it's not gone in the corner and the goalkeeper's job is to set up that wall, by the way.
It's pretty much central as well, isn't it, really? If where you want it as a goalkeeper from a free kick. You dread it when it goes in the corner. It's nowhere near it.
And it's the keeper's job to set up that wall. So if he then can't see the ball because it's gone over the wall the way it has, then that's on the goalkeeper. And for him to get a hand to it, put it in, you know, these moments are important. But what I would say is, you know, fundamentally, it's just not good enough again. And it seems as if the players just don't care. And that's the thing that hurts more than anything, really, is we could go and lose 3-0, 4-0, it doesn't matter. But if the team is giving everything and you can see that it really means something to these players, then that's another matter. You can at least be proud of the fact that you've got players that clearly aren't good enough, but they're trying their hardest. It looks like the players have given up in the way that the fans have given up, and much to the point that Rachael said about going to games and the enjoyment of it. It's, I moved out of the house a few years back after, I went to university, and now I'm 2 years into industry, right? So for me, it's an opportunity to see my mum and my dad, because I don't get to see them all that often at Tottenham games. So for that whole experience to kind of be ruined because, we care so much about what's going on in front of us, going to the football should not be toxic. Obviously, you're going to have people that act a certain way at football games, fair enough, but it's got really, really nasty. And it's not just nasty because of what we're seeing in terms of on the pitch, but it's actually the infighting. It's, there could be 5 Spurs fans like there are on your show tonight, Harry. And if that's in the stadium, I've seen Tottenham fans almost have punch-ups with one another because they disagree over the owner, or they disagree over one little thing, or fans say, I get your point that you want Levy out. I agree, but you should get behind
Do you think there's a bit of tension there, Josh, where we are at the moment as a club? And with Arsenal, although it looks like they've bottled it, doing so well this season, and, we just, the possibility of finishing, Europe, there's a lot of, I say toxic feel around the club. Do you think there's that tension there at the moment, that unrest, if you like, is leading to all these, because I've seen it myself, whether it's on social media or in person, where people are being, I don't want to necessarily rattled, but agitated by the slightest of things with Spurs at the moment. So, what do you put that down to? Is it where we are at a club at the moment?
Well, yeah, it's a combination of things. I think Spurs fans are rightly rattled, but, it's got to a point where people are being really horrible to one another. People are abusing each other online or in person because of small differences, when at the end of the day, it's all little bits of politics, really. We all want the best for our football club. We all want to see our club win, and we all want to see our club be successful. But, what's going on is especially now when times are really tough and a lot of people are, having to make tough decisions. They're struggling to do a lot of things. They're struggling to afford their bills, whatnot. And then, Tottenham, we're paying the most expensive season tickets in Europe. The atmosphere that we once had, I think that anyone that says that we've got a better atmosphere than Arsenal is lying. And Arsenal was infamously the library. I don't know what that makes us, a graveyard. That's where things have got. The point that we go to a game now, and even if we're playing well, we're not getting behind the team. The
atmosphere is definitely a problem, I think.
We're all waiting for something bad to happen because that's what we've come to expect now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Josh, I'll come back to you on this one. And I've got a little statistic for you here about time it took for Spurs to concede away from home. Newcastle, it was 2 minutes. Liverpool, it was 3 minutes. And Aston Villa on Saturday, it was 8 minutes it took us to concede. Is that like a mindset thing for you? Is it the way the manager sets the players up? Because we've said that with Stellini. We've said it at times with Conte. We're in different situations with these players. We've gone, for example, messing around at the back. We always say, who's that down to? And it keep happening under different managers. So is it the players and the mindset thing for you, Josh?
You've got to be asking serious questions about this, because it's not just the games that we've conceded early, because it's every game this season, bar perhaps Southampton at home on the opening day of the season, who were a really poor side. I mean, we all saw why they got relegated based on that first game of the season. Every game this season, we've started poorly, pretty much. Okay, a couple of times we've scored early-ish, but 9 times out of 10, we've had a horrible first half. And even when we've led at half-time, it's been a horrible half. So you've got to be asking what on earth is going on in that warm-up, or what instructions are being told to the players, because you'd think, if anything, you should have the most energy of any point in the game, and yet we're finishing games a lot stronger than we are starting games. We look like in the 90th minute, plus, I don't know, 3-4 minutes or whatever it is in injury time, we've just kicked off and we're ready to go. But that's 94 minutes too late. It is a mentality thing. I think this is the thing that has been a real issue.
Right, where do we stop the rot? Like, basically, Josh, where do we change this? Like, going forward, like, let's say we get. I mean, Nagelsmann, look, he's off the list now. But let's say we get a top manager come in who works with these players. How's this thing going to be removed? Like, this mindset, this mentality thing. So, what would you suggest that we get rid of this? Because it's happening each game. And yes, you know, it took us longer to concede against Aston Villa, but you should not be conceding away from home against these teams really, really early on, you know, when the game plan is simply not to. So how do you change that as a manager for next season?
I'll put this really quickly, and I think everyone here will agree with this. You have to weed out the individuals that are culpable for this. There are several individuals that under successive managers for years have been at the club, have festered like a dead rat in the cupboard under the stairs, right? Vermin to what we're able to do on the pitch. I don't mean they're individually vermin, but it in terms of the team, that's the situation they're in. And it's players like Eric Dyer, Ben Davis, even though Ben Davis, there's lots of things I can praise him for. Sorry, the notifications are coming through like mad. Let me just turn this off quickly.
No worries.
Yeah, it's Eric Dyer, Ben Davis. It's players like Hugo Lloris. It's these same individuals that have been there under successive managers, making mistakes. Davinson Sanchez is another one. I mean, the list could go on. There's at least 5 or 6 players that have been part of this problem consecutively. And when you look at the statistics, when you look at the games, you know, all you've got to do is go on Transfermarkt, BBC, wherever you want to go and get your information. Look at the team that has started and look at the result across multiple years. How many of those players have consistently started across those years? There's 3 or 4 that are in that team every single time. Get them out. It doesn't matter if you have to do what Arsenal did and pay them off and cancel their contract like they did with Aubameyang. That was a brave move. When are we going to see Tottenham be brave and do things
Paid off, though, didn't it? Paid off with Aubameyang. Look at his situation with Chelsea now. Chelsea could potentially do the same thing. He's had no impact with them. You know, he's sitting there on the wages because although you're paying them off, it could potentially save you money in the long term. But no, I completely agree with you there. Josh, Travis, where do you kind of sit with this? Like, why we're conceding so early on in games? And do you agree with Josh in terms of it is a mindset thing and we need to get certain individuals out the door? And should that have happened a long time ago?
Again, Josh has completely hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely spot on with what you've just said there, Josh. Like I said before, of course it falls down to individuals, but what I can't understand is, and I think I said this in the last podcast, we've had Poch, we've had Mourinho, we've had Conte, 3 world-class managers. Conte and Mourinho have won something every single club that they've gone to. Why have they come to us and had 11 players not be able to win a thing? This is what frustrates me with the club, because they all put it down to the management. It's not the management at all. It's down to the individual errors, like what Josh just said, that is completely screwing the club. They're rotten players. They're players that have been there for a long time. They're quite happy to coin their money in every week and play a style of football that should not be played. It's boring. It's fatigue. It's the same every game, every weekend. But I think, like you said, with paying players off, like with what Arsenal did with Aubameyang, again, that falls down to the chairman, Daniel Levy, the prime suspect, the prime problem at our football club. Will he pay players off to leave the club? Probably not. He'll wait to see their contracts out, and they'll be there forever. You know, look at the money we wasted on Ndombele, Lo Celso. You know, this is a lot of money. Richarlison, 60 million. He scored two or three goals for us. You know, it's embarrassing because we spend this money on players. And they don't succeed at our football club.
Yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, I think he's spot on there. I think both of you. Rachel, where do you sit with this conceding early mindset thing? These players, Josh named a couple in Dyer and Davis, and should they have left a long time ago? And whose fault is that, if I dare to ask?
We should have, when we had Poch, we should have rebuilded then. When Poch went, we should have rebuilded. We could have
He asked for a
pushed on.
rebuild before he left. He did say these players. He did question them.
He said it's going to be a painful rebuild. Well, we're still in the rebuild, and we've still got exactly the same players that we had.
We haven't gone forward since then, have we?
We haven't done that. Like, I feel sorry for Charlton because he's been out injured, so he hasn't really had enough time to show us properly what he can do. Like, he come on against Liverpool and scored, obviously offside. But I think with just the keep of sacking managers, it's affected us. I think it's affected every single player, and I don't know whether they're coming or going. What is going on? We've got shit defenders, and we're not doing nothing. We're not helping ourselves, and it's sad. And you can tell by how they're on the pitch that they've given up. They're not bothered now. They're in lot like the fans, numb. They might as well. What are they going to do? Well, they go and play, but that's about it. They ain't going to put a shift in because us fans don't care anymore. Well, we do, but they can tell us on week out on social media, outside the ground, we've had enough. And it's down to one person. Keep sucking. And how many times it's not right? He should be sucking himself. Right.
Yeah.
How many times he would suck himself over and over? He's unreal.
They do say if Daniel Levy, was as hard himself, he would sack him at least 1,000 times by now. And I do truly believe that. Josh, I'm going to come to you for the next question. So this is more about focusing in the game and like how many shots we had. We had 0 shots in that first half against Aston Villa, right? That is whether you like it or not. It's a big game for European football, for Europa League football, potentially a crucial game. Is that acceptable in what is a top club like Tottenham Hotspur to not have any shots in 45 minutes against Aston Villa for you? Or are people just overreacting to the fact, where do you sit with that?
Firstly, no. And secondly, we're not as big a football club as we like to think we are. I think we need to start being real. I think Tottenham fans need to get real because it's the amount of stuff I've heard now. Okay. A football club that hasn't won a major competition since 2008, and even that, the Carabao Cup is like the runt of all the sort of major tournaments. We haven't won a league since the 60s, since my dad was a baby, right? In fact, the last time we won the league, my dad wasn't even born yet, and my dad's 62, right? That says it all. Wow. We are not a big football club. We need to get used to that. We like to.
Where do you rank us then in terms of how big we are? Where do you rank with the rest of the teams around us?
Yes, I'm not saying we're not a historic football club. I'm not saying we're a successful cup team in years gone by. Of course we are. But so are lots of other teams. Everton, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest. Yeah. These clubs have won lots of cup competitions. Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest have won the European Cup, the equivalent of the Champions League. Tottenham haven't done that. We are I think we're in the most advantageous spot, you would think in theory, of those clubs in and around the top 4 fight. Minus the big clubs. And I'm talking Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, now Manchester City and Man United. We are clearly of the big 6, in quotes. We are the smallest of those 6. And but we are advantageous over the likes of Aston Villa, Brighton, etc., because we've got the infrastructure. We've got a superstar that would get into any team, you know, in the Premier League, possibly even the world, in Harry Kane. Minus perhaps Real Madrid, because I think they'd go with, I'm sure they'd go with Benzema over Kane. But until we've got a squad, right? Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest in my opinion, always had this mindset of it doesn't matter who you are and what you've achieved at Manchester United. When your time was up, it was up. And he was more than happy to get rid of players that were playing really, really well at the top of their level if they needed to refresh the squad, because he knew that, you know, come a few months' time or the next season, there was going to be an issue there. So we got players out. Good players were sold, you know, and refreshed. They always say, and the cliche goes, you strengthen when you're on top. You strengthen when you're at your best, not when you're at your worst, so that you stay on top. Because once you get to that level, it's about maintaining it. That's why so many teams win the league over and over again. Look at Manchester City. When they need to buy one or two players, they do it every time, and they recruit well. Spurs aren't doing that. And every time we've been in that advantageous position where we can, you know, really kick on, what does Daniel Levy do? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
So, you know, in answer to your question, initially, no, it's not good enough that we've got 0 shots on target. But can you expect anything different when you have a squad that is being left to fester, hasn't been strengthened properly? And then what's happened is essentially we've brought in a load of players of which they were brought in to suit Conte's style of football, of which only a couple of them Conte actually wanted. Conte signed off Richarlison, but that wasn't his first choice. Perisic was Conte's choice, but players like Jed Spence, he's probably never going to even get a game for us. You know, I can't see any situation where he's playing games for us next season. No chance. You know, Clement Lenglet's fine, but he's not, you know, that was only after missing out on a much higher caliber of player in Bastoni. Of course, Bastoni never wanted to join anyway. But, you know, I spoke about this on a space recently. I wrote a piece when I was about 14, 15 years old, like a little blog post thing. And I said that Tottenham should sign Nathan Ake. This was when he was a kid at Chelsea, and it looked like he wasn't going to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
How we could do with an Nathan Ake today. And the thing is this, I think this is the key to it. If any of us can spot, here's a player that would make our football club much better. Here's a player, we need to do this, we need to do that. That will clearly make a big difference. We can see it with our own eyes because we go every game. How come the man at the top cannot see this? And if he can see this, then he clearly does not care.
Yeah, Josh, what do you make of people saying with the Pedro Porro signing that is mainly down to the fans? That, you know, that some people believe that Levy listened to the fans about wanting Pedro Porro, and that was the only reason that we signed him. So who do you blame if Pedro Porro doesn't work out?
If Daniel Levy listened to the fans, we'd have signed Lionel Messi. I mean, it's just,
Yes,
do you know what I mean? Or we'd have signed Kylian Mbappe when he was at Monaco. You know, if Daniel Levy had listened to the fans, there are all manner of players we would have signed. Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Diaz.
Yeah, Eden Hazard, Jack Grealish.
Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, Luis Suarez. All sorts of players we would have signed.
Yeah,
it's down to the fact that this is a player that has been identified by those people that Daniel Levy has hired, a coach that Daniel Levy has hired, and an interaction between those individuals. And by, you know, as close to the horse's mouth as you can get, you know, all of the accounts I'm hearing is that Daniel Levy has his fingers stuck in the pies. You know, he nitpicks, he gets involved. It's megalomaniac behaviour. You know,
do you believe that?
100%. 100. I trust the people that I know that are as close as it gets, and they've all said the same thing. And I don't think that they're all conspiring.
It's believable, though, isn't it? Because Levy does, with the stuff we see, Levy's always seems to have the last say, and something's always changed, or, you know, so it does, for me, makes perfect sense.
The interview with Webb on TalkSport. or the interview that Mitchell did after leaving Tottenham. You know, what about the story of Paul Barber, who is the best CEO in football, Spurs through and through? He leaves the club. Of course, he left ages ago. Daniel tries to get him back, offers him significantly less money than he's on at Brighton, and says, yes, but we're a bigger club. I know where I'd rather be. I saw a report.
If you're a bigger club, you should be offering more money, right?
Exactly.
When has Logic and Daniel Levy ever gone together, other than in terms of building a nice, shiny event stadium, and of course, a brilliant training ground as well? But in terms of on the pitch, when has there ever been Logic? I'll wait. I would love to hear anyone that is watching this to put some comments in there if you can provide a real example of that, because I think we'll probably be waiting until next year.
Guys, get involved in the comments. If you're watching it live on YouTube right now, because it is live, remember, Monday, 8 p.m., get involved in the comments. So there you go. No, thank you, Josh, for that. I completely agree with a lot of what you said there. Travis, I'm going to come to you next. Travis. I want to know, so we have not won a game away from home in 2023. Is that acceptable for a club like Tottenham? That's the worst away record we've had since 2013. What do you put that down to? Is it almost like we're afraid to go away from home?
I wouldn't say we're afraid to play away from home, but I think it all stems down to, again, I'm going to say the management and the as Rachel said earlier, as a team, we don't know whether we're coming or going because we're playing all different style of football. I used to put it down to the different type of kits that we wear, but that was just my reasoning. But of course, it's not acceptable. I mean, you look at the squad on paper, and we have got one of the best squads in the league. But we go and beat Chelsea 2-0 a few weeks ago, and then we drop so quickly in morale, confidence, the style of football we play. You can see it in the players. I think some of these players must walk out onto that pitch and think, what am I actually playing for? Why am I here? There's nothing to play for at the moment. I mean, we'll be lucky to get Europa League Conference again as a team. Why should Tottenham Hotspur, this amazing football team with amazing players, be playing Conference League football? It's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And I think again it all stems down to individuals' mindset and where they want to be. I mean, Harry Kane, no matter where his head wants to be, he still goes out there and plays the amazing football that he plays, while everyone sits back and watches. There's just there's no self-motivation. There's no love in the team. I mean, I think I said this in the last podcast when we had the likes of Jimmy Greaves, Ozzy Ardiles, Waddle, Hoddle, Pat Jennings, top-class players that were there to play for the shirt. Gazza absolutely loved Tottenham Hotspur. That was he bled Tottenham. And he was so happy to play for that club, and there was so much anger, but in a good way, because he plays for the badge. These players now could not give a monkeys.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to give you a score update from the King Power, but Tim has completely read my mind. It is 2-0 to Liverpool for a double from Curtis Jones. Not that we were going to finish above them anyway, but that dampens Leicester's chance.
I thought one of them should have been offside.
Okay, there you go. So Liverpool at it once again then, hey? But yeah, it doesn't matter to us because we're never going to catch them, let's face it. But for Leicester, that is a massive blow. It does look like they're going to be in the Championship next season. Rachel, I'm going to come to you next. And I want to know your thoughts on Villa's performance Saturday. Were they just better than us in every department? And where do you think the game was won or lost? Because for me, it was the midfield. We made John McGinn look like someone like Ronaldinho just because our midfield just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
I've always rated John McGinn. Excuse me. I've always thought he's underrated. We made him look like a prime, as I said, Ronaldinho, Pele, or Messi. He's absolutely fantastic.
Villa's in the right frame of mind. They're pushing. So they won't stop now. and they're really strong. They've got the right manager. They're moving forward. They're not chopping and changing. They've got some. They're like, I think I like Ollie Watkins. I really like him, but our defence, sorry, the whole team lets us down at the moment. And
Yeah.
I love Harry Kane. Like, without him, we wouldn't be. But as I said, sometimes he has to take some stick. He has to. You can't not give him a free pass on him. Like, you have to. He has to be in. If you're working as a team, like, then you work as a team. You can't just moan about everyone else and he gets a free pass. That's not fair. That's not right. There is 11 players on that pitch, and 11 players to score.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all give him a free pass because he's kept us where we are. We wouldn't be without him. But he can't keep getting a free pass. He's got to take some responsibility for the pitch. But then I look at it, he's not getting it delivered to him to put it in the back of the net. It works both ways.
Absolutely, it's a very key point you make, Travis. So, on a positive note, Basuma was back on the pitch after God knows how long's out. It was originally going to be 2 weeks, but with our medical team, we knew it was never going to be 2 weeks. It was what felt like months. In the end, it was forever. That's for sure. He's hardly had a contribution, hardly had a kick this season. Bless him. So, what do you think of his performance when he came on against Brentford? Because some people say he changed the game. I've been told, for example, on Twitter, that the difference was that Højbjerg and Skip face towards their own goal, where Basuma faces the other way, sideways, and is more forward thinking. Won a couple of corners. So, what do you think of Basuma's mini cameo appearance when he came back on?
I think Basuma is a top player. His career at Brighton showed that. But I think because of how lethargic our midfield is, I think players like him are going to struggle because who he's playing with. But again, it's the quality he shows that isn't in comparison to the rest of the midfield. And I think if he had the right service from the right players, I think he could be a really good player. Do
you want to see him start against Brentford? Would you chuck him in there, maybe as a midfield three, or instead of Højbjerg or Skip?
I'll drop Højbjerg straight away.
Would you?
Yeah, because he's completely off the ball at the moment. He's not where he was, start of the season. Everyone was ranting about him, calling him the Viking, etc., and saying what a brilliant signing. But again, he's another one that's just completely dropped form. So these players that are coming back from injury, yes, I would start them. Yes, I would start Danjuma. Yes, I would start Basuma and completely refresh the midfield. I'll probably keep Ollie Skip in there because I think Oliver Skip, he's an old-fashioned midfielder, the way he plays football. But yeah, I would drop Højbjerg.
Are Højbjerg and Skip alike, though? Some people say they're too alike to be in the same team.
They are. They love to fly into a tackle. I know what Oliver Skip probably does more than Højbjerg, but I would drop Højbjerg and put Basuma in there and just play the two in the middle. But we are massively, massively, massively missing Bentancur. He's what that gels at midfield. And I will put it down to one individual, which is Bentancur, because he is a modern-day Moussa Dembele. He's got it written all over him.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. For me, with that Villa game, I said before, you've got to go with a three midfield because of the threat that Aston Villa offer in midfield with the likes of John McGinn, with the likes of Douglas Luiz, and that they can easily get control of that midfield. And that is exactly what they've done. Basuma just offers something different in there. We're playing with three attackers, but it's not really having an effect at the moment. Richarlison's working hard, but as a footballer, you need to do more than work hard. Josh, where do you stand with Basuma? Are you a fan of Basuma? Are you looking forward to watching him next season? And do you want to see him start Saturday? And what do you make of his cameo, firstly?
Well, I was thinking, though I don't know who goes on the Twitter Spaces a lot. I know sometimes you pop on, Harry. I know Rachel's always there. I don't know about you, Travis, but one of the things that I think a lot of us were in agreement with was that we could see the potential of a midfield three of Bentancur, Bissouma and Sarr. And that would have been a perfect midfield because it gives you a little bit of everything. You've got Sarr, who wants the ball at every opportunity, has that sort of, the fact that he's young, he kind of has no care in the world. He just wants to get the ball at his feet and do things with it. He might make mistakes now and then, but he's so young. To have someone with that confidence. Then you've got Bentancur, and I would go beyond the Moussa Dembele thing because I think he's far better at driving forward than Dembele was. I know that Dembele he just kept things ticking. He was like the cog that made that whole team work. But Bentancur will turn defence into attack instantly. And then Bissouma, that gives Bissouma the opportunity to actually play in his favoured position and drop really deep and literally sit behind that back line. And he's got the ability on both feet to play a longer ball, to turn, play a quick ball out. Or he can also, he's technical enough, he's quick enough, to play little 1-2s and triangles in that midfield. So that was what I was looking at. And so obviously it's a very, very welcome, it's very welcome news that he's back. And I thought he did make a difference, but at the same time it was too little too late. And I know obviously there's not a lot you can do. Basuma's been out for a while. He's had surgery on his foot, hasn't he? So we can't expect him to play any more minutes than that, so I'm not going to have a go at Mason for that. But if he's fit now, I'd like to see him start. But again, how many times, if we can see that we need to play a midfield three, maybe we should play a midfield three. It's really that simple. But against Brentford now, I think, the season's gone. Regardless now, do we want to try and
try something different?
Are we gonna battle for 6th place, which is realistically the highest we're gonna finish? In my opinion, yes, I think we still should. But is there an opportunity to experiment? I think so, because at this point, whether we play in the Conference League or the Europa League, it's not going to make much of a difference. Whether we finish 5th or 7th, we're still playing Thursday night. We still will be entering a competition which we should be going in to try and win anyway. So, yeah, for me, let's try something different. Let's let Ryan Mason really prove his coaching credentials. Let's really see if he's up for the job, because he says he wants it, but I'm not yet to see a single thing that proves that he is experienced enough, old enough, or, got the mentality for it. Just loving the club is not enough. And as much as I respect Ryan Mason, it's horrible what he went through in his playing career, and he bleeds Spurs. Of course he does. Is it going to be Ryan Mason, playing all his best mates? Or is he going to actually show, hang on, I'm a serious manager here and do something different and think outside the box and come up with something?
He did drop Darren. He did drop Darren Perisic, having said that, to be fair.
Even dropping them, it didn't change the system, the way they play, the effort level. We were really poor against Palace. I know we had something to build on. The system was a little bit better, but then we abandoned that kind of flexi system. And we certainly weren't playing that same system against Villa. So, yeah, this is the time, Ryan Mason. Step up. Show us what you're actually worth. Otherwise,
I personally think he got it wrong. I think he got it wrong against Villa. Like, we changed it against Palace. If you're going to change something, then, we won the game. What I don't get is you're winning and then you're changing something against Villa. It was not being funny, but it felt like Conte was still here, but without having that experience of Conte, if you know what I mean, in terms of Conte's style, Conte's football, that low block, which in this game didn't work, but without Conte's experience, knowing how to win a game, see out a game, all that experience that comes with Conte, because whatever you think of him, he's a serial winner, he's an elite manager, and people wonder why Mourinho and Conte haven't won at Tottenham. They've won everywhere else. Nuno leaves Tottenham, won a trophy. Pochettino leaves Tottenham, won a trophy. And it'll be exactly the same with Conte, wherever he goes to. And that says something. And I keep saying that the club is rotten from top to bottom. But anyone will tell you, any business, any football club, anything, that change starts. When it's rotten, it starts from the very, very top. and that is with the top of the club. That is with the hierarchy. For me, I just think that just has to happen. But before we go to the questions from the people we put forward kindly on Twitter of the podcast, so thank you guys for waiting. Give me 2 minutes and we will answer them. So today, it was announced that there's been an increase to the One Hotspur membership. Season ticket prices were frozen, rightly so, after backlash from Fair Play to Change for Tottenham and Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, but mainly the fans who forced the Supporters Trust, forced the likes of Change for Tottenham to actually get off their backside and do anything. Because if it wasn't for us fans having a go at it, making our voice heard, then neither of them would have stepped up. So Fair Play is probably the only decision this season that Daniel Levy has got spot on. But he had to because of the pressure. So Rachel, I know you have a strong opinion on this. What do you make of the increase of the One Hotspur membership and where we are as a club right now and the timing of it? Is that acceptable?
No, it's disgusting. We have no manager. We have no director of football. We have no women's. The cost of living going up. People are struggling. And
big up.
Well done them for getting off their bum and to Levy freezing it. But as I called out this afternoon, where are they now? Where are they? Why are they not? Why they say they're the voices of the fans? Why are they not calling out to stop this increase?
Rachel, what do you think Change for Tottenham should do right now? Because you're someone who's not quite sure. You like the idea of change. Don't get me wrong. You like the idea. Yeah. I know you like the idea. I know you want change for Tottenham, as in, we need change. So what can they do for you to get the fans on the side? I know you said about making themselves known, that their face showed, and getting involved in the protest instead of verbally supporting it. So if you're Change for Tottenham right now, what are you doing to convince this fan base that change is needed and to support them?
I think they mucked up when they put on the other week regarding Daniel Levy, but they want Levy to step down. They want change. And it is something the other fan base, the other supportive voice of Spurs, don't want, because they're happy getting their seats and they listen to Levy. And that is why a lot of people are going, and you've got to pay a membership. Change for Tottenham is not asking for a membership. It's like the Eric Group are. We're not asking for a membership. We're not telling us to pay. You've got to pay to come and have your voice being heard. We're telling you to come and stand on the pavement with us and be known on social media. Have your voice in the ground, outside, on the social media. The other support group, AIM, they're all mouth, and they don't respect me. They don't tell me. They don't tell him Daniel Levy he needs to step down. They need to sell. They can write all their little letters, and they can get the season ticket. But
do you want change? Do you want Change for Tottenham, like their members, to show their faces, turn up at the protest, maybe do a bit of recording of the protest? And basically, what you're saying, Rachel, correct me if I'm wrong, but you want to see them. You're saying you're hearing all these words like they bigged up the rally march, but that was for whatever reason. I think it was because of the votes they claimed. I never actually saw it, but that didn't go ahead. So yeah, you want to see their actual face, but I completely understand that. Now I'm going to go around the houses, and I just want a simple yes or no answer whether you support Change for Tottenham. Josh, do you support Change for Tottenham? Yes or no?
Absolutely, I support them, but I think it's time that they step up and show us why they're called Change for Tottenham.
Yeah, absolutely. Short explanation, completely agree. Travis, do you support Change for Tottenham, and what more can they do?
I do, but I'm on the fence with it because the Change for Tottenham happens inside that football grounds. Because game in, game out, as I said, I think I said in the last podcast, there's 63,000 fans inside that ground. The difference is the percentage of who wants Levy out and who's really not too bothered. That percentage of who wants Levy out it's not heard enough around the grounds. There's petitions online on Twitter. I signed one myself last week.
Yeah.
There's protests.
I've done one and all.
There's protests outside the grounds. these protests are embarrassing, if you ask me, because the small selection of fans that are actually there. If there needs to be a change for Tottenham, then a formal letter needs to be written to Daniel Levy and given to him.
They've had the letter. They've ignored it.
Change for Tottenham have claimed that, well, they said that they wrote a letter to Daniel Levy. So, Travis, for you, what do you think's more effective? Turning up to the stadium with flags and banners, calling, for Levy to go, basically, or like you say, with a letter to Daniel Levy? So, what is more? What do you want to see? What one are you supporting there?
I think games need to be boycotted. And I think letters need to be sending through Daniel Levy's letterbox. I think merchandise needs to be stopped being bought. I mean, this kit I've got on tonight is the last thing I bought from Tottenham because I refuse to buy anything else to give any
Come
more
to
money.
me, Travis. You don't have to put money in his back pocket.
But yeah, I don't think any money in regards to what the fans give the club should be happening, because it's just more money to put inside that horrible man's pocket to go and spend elsewhere. The man has no interest in our club. He's proven. He's got Beyonce singing there. He's making an F1 track in the ground. It's a football ground. What other football grounds in the world? Okay, fair enough.
You don't mind that if your football team's prioritised and doing well, but neither of those things are happening right now. You read the little article, if you like, on the Spurs website about the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it says like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium hosts blah blah blah, Beyonce concerts, this, that, the other, F1, and right at the very bottom, when you scroll down about 3 pages, at the bottom it says as well as Tottenham Hotspur matches. For me, that is a perfect example of where this club is not prioritised, and we're not succeeding at a football club. Exactly. Yes, we're succeeding as a business. Fair play. Yeah, a clap. Daniel Levy, you've done well the business side of things. We haven't, fallen apart yet, but we still made a loss last year, and he's still increasing his salary this year. So if people say he keeps the club financially safe and he's great at the business side of things, why did we make a loss last year then? And why is he giving himself a 500,000 increase? That is a man who doesn't care. People say he does care. I really don't think so. But no, thank you for that, Travis.
That's Daniel Levy. I'm just going to go back to what Rachael just said about the price.
Yeah.
The price of living is the biggest problem in our country at the moment, or throughout the world. That is something that needs to be prioritised. There is people that are generally struggling, and then you got the likes of Daniel Levy, who is a multi-billionaire, putting his price tickets up on these season tickets. People pay enough as it is, let alone putting the money up. Why? There's people out there can generally do it, that can generally afford it year in, year out. Fair play to them. Brilliant.
Can I just sum it up? There's a guy who's regularly on Twitter Spaces who has been going to Spurs in the 60s, right? And many of you guys will know him, Ian Lubin, and I'm sure he won't mind me naming him for this. He went and asked Daniel Levy to his face why the ticket prices have gone up. And this was a few years back, after he'd seen something, I think, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something like an 85% increase in a matter of years, right? Daniel Levy's response to his face was, well, it's a privilege to see your team play. And that's the response.
Wow.
That's the response that the chairman gave to a lifelong Tottenham supporter who's been going home and away. And I know he goes away all the time, home and away for double my lifetime. I'm 23. So he's been going pretty much double my lifetime, more than that. And that's the response that the chairman gives. Let's just add the fact that there is no Bill Nicholson-Gates, no sort of homage to Jimmy Green, but we are going to get a Harry Kane mural. And we, so clearly, and potentially even a Harry Kane statue. Is this chairman trying to erase the history of this football club? Because that's what's getting our fans annoyed. The fact that historically we are a team that has always strived to win competitions, to win trophies, to compete. We've played historically a very entertaining brand of attacking football. Doesn't matter who the manager is, that's the Tottenham Hotspur way. It always has been. And now that we deviate away from that, we've lost the stadium, we've lost the atmosphere, everything that was good about that football club. I completely sympathise with any any fan that says, there was a football club there, because there was. And it was a bloody brilliant football club called Tottenham Hotspur. Now, the only thing I see is Real Estate FC. That's it.
Yeah, I think this is speaking absolute facts there. Josh, Rachel, just a simple yes or no answer. I do always ask you about as part of being regular on the show. I'm afraid it gives you opportunities to change your mind. This week, do you support change for Tottenham? I know you've suggested, like what you want them to do, but at the moment, yes or no? I know it's really hard to answer that question.
I'm Eric out. With Brian and Billy and we stand out there so I have got my group that all the time. Josh knows. So that's my group, and that is who I stand with. If Change for Tottenham want to come and stand with us, and they want to get behind, they want to do what we want, what we're trying to do, what we've done for the last 3 years, then I will support them. But if they don't want to come out, I will support my group.
Yeah, fair enough. Rightly so. So quickly, before the last thing before we answer people's questions, again, I'm going to go around and ask you this question: how many points are we getting from our next 2 games? So people who don't know, that's Brentford at home this Saturday, before on the final day going away to Leeds at Ellen Road. Bearing in mind they could be relegated or somehow safe by then. So Josh, how many points quickly are we going to get out of a possible 6?
3.
Going to get 3.
3.
Which one to win?
Look, I cannot call it, because we could go out there and lose 2-0 at home to Brentford and then go put 5 past Leeds on the final day. Tottenham always seem to do really well on the last day of the season. I don't know why. But I actually have a feeling it's going to be the other way around. I have a feeling we're going to beat Brentford and we're going to lose.
Agree.
And Leeds will stay up. Sam Allardyce is going to keep Leeds up, because we're going to absolutely crumble away there. And guess what? We're going to miss out on European football altogether with that defeat at Leeds.
Where are we finishing then? 8th or 9th?
I think we're going to finish 8th.
Interesting. Okay. Travis, how many points are you getting? Possible 6. And where are we finishing in the league?
I think Brentford, we're going to lose against. We'll be lucky to get a point. And I think Leeds, we're going to stop them from getting relegated. Because that's what Tottenham do.
0. How many points is that then? 0?
We're going to get probably either, I don't know, maybe a point against Brentford, maybe a loss, and I think Leeds are going to stuff us.
Yeah, so it's just a single point. There you go. I just think represents where we are as a club right now.
Ellen Road will be absolutely buzzing last game of the season.
Yeah, no, great point. And where are we finishing, Travis?
8th.
8th, okay. So you're both in agreement on that. Rachel, how many points are we getting out of a possible 6? If you don't remember, Brentford at home and Leeds away. And where are we finishing?
8th. I go with Travis on that one. I want us to go 8th. You know that. I've said that from
Yeah, I've said that.
And I do think we're going to be taught another lesson.
Yeah. Do you think it would prompt action? Is he going to have any impact finishing 8th over 7th?
No.
That's the thing. So how many points, are we getting out of those next 2?
2.
2 draws?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, then. So thank you for everyone who's waiting. Let's answer the questions for the podcast then. Before that, actually, Tim says 2 points is going drawing each. He agrees with you, Rachael, there. I'm going to start with in the chat, Spurs Live. So thank you for joining. Who says, who's your ideal next Tottenham manager? For people who don't know, what we do with this is we go down one by one and ask individual questions here. And Josh, I'm going to give you the first question. I love the beaming smile. You've got to keep smiling despite how bad we are at the moment, whatever's made you laugh. So who is your ideal next Tottenham manager realistically?
I've said all along my number 1 target is Marcelo Gallardo. Are Tottenham clever enough to go and get him? No. Who's my second choice? Arne Slot. I I think Arne Slot, having just won the Eredivisie with Feyenoord, what he is really good at is identifying and developing cheap talent. He plays a free-flowing, attacking style of football. They won the league this season in the Netherlands without a proper striker. Give him Harry Kane. I mean, Bob's your uncle, really. So I think, bring some of the players like Hansko, Götze into this team. They could transform us a little bit. His talent ID at AZ Alkmaar and at Feyenoord has been second to none. AZ Alkmaar were robbed of the league because of COVID, when I'm pretty certain they would have held out and won the league. They lost. It was something to do with their goal average compared with Ajax, that they didn't win the league because of COVID. So for teams with hardly any budget, that's what he's achieved there. There's no reason why he can't do that at Spurs. When we know Daniel Levy's not going to spend the money to get the top draw players, why not get a manager who can identify the players himself, especially if we do finish 8th, which is going to be a big financial hit. And Daniel Levy's going to use that as an excuse to say, I need to bump the season ticket prices up, because that will help your football team succeed, in the way that he does. Arne Slot for me.
Arne Slot for Josh. Okay, thank you. Travis, I'm going to come to you for the next question from Harry. So big up to Harry. Has Levy taken us back to where we were in 2001 before he became chairman? Just my opinion, but I think he has. The only difference is a bigger stadium, so he's making more money off fans. But what are your thoughts? Interesting one.
That's a really good question, actually. I think he has, on and off the pitch. Off the pitch, obviously, he's built a world-class stadium. But again, with Daniel Levy, he did say in one of his videos, I don't know if it's on the Tottenham Amazon program, he said we're going to be one of these top clubs in Europe. Well, that hasn't happened, has it?
But Travis, he doesn't know football. We're talking about someone who when you comes to giving a compliment to a player, right? In this situation, being Harry Winks, the best compliment he could give him, right? And he had all that time. He knew the cameras were coming. Was he runs around a lot? That is someone who does not know football, right? You can give a footballer any kind of compliment, right? Yeah, they're quick, they're pacey. They have good agility, they have good stamina. They're a great finisher. Great, and so there's loads of things you can give. He runs around a lot. Seriously, does Levy know football for you? I don't think so. But adding a little mini question in there for you though, Travis. Are we in a worse position for you than we were in 2021? Love it, by the way, Josh.
Yeah, massively.
That was
we're in a disaster. Yeah, and it's so mind-numbing having the same mentality about your own football club, and the chairman. People ask me questions about Tottenham, and it's the same answer all the time that I say, because there is nothing positive to say about our club at the moment. Yeah.
And it don't matter
no, fair
who
enough.
getting as
There
manager,
you go. Thank you.
and nothing's going to change.
And in regards to management, in regards to management, I know obviously Josh has already answered that question for you, but if that question was answered to me, I generally would not have an answer, because it's going to be the same. Josh said a few good managers there. Josh said a few good managers there. And
he's got Arne Slot behind him.
We had Conte. We had Antonio Conte as our manager. Would we have been saying that 4 or 5 years ago? Absolutely not. We'd be laughing at it. We had Antonio Conte as our manager. You can't get much better than that. I know Pep Guardiola's up there.
I could sit here right now and I could rant about the fact that Conte and Mourinho have won trophies everywhere but Tottenham. But Josh would tell you in the space that I joined the other day, I'd already done that, and I'd done it on a View from the South Stand Saturday night. Completely took over the show ranting. So on here, I'm not going to do that. But no, I completely agree with you there. Rachel, I'm going to ask you the next question from Tim, who I know for a fact is watching. So thank you, Tim, as always, because I know you always watch the full show. And I know that you're always here. So big up to you. I know I speak to you regularly. Rachel, Tim says, after Saturday's match, I think the only question is, what would you do without Harry Kane? Even with Dyer on the bench, the defence was rubbish. And you've got players not knowing what offside means, which is the basics in football. The players have a responsibility, not just Mason and Levy. What do you make of that? Love it.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks.
Sorry, that's killed me.
No, you're right. I thought we would someone. Go for it, Rachel.
We wouldn't, like I said, we wouldn't be anywhere where we are without Harry Kane. We have relied on him left, right, and centre. And I've said this about the offside. What do our players do in training? Eat cake and drink tea. Do they not learn the offside rule? I think I said this in last podcast.
Yeah.
What I just said then. But it is. What are they doing? What they like I said, they can't see offside. You go to school, go, it's offside. Well, learn the bloody rules. It's not that hard. You're getting paid all that money to learn, to kick, score, defend, which we can't do.
Yep, completely agree with you there.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Tim.
I think you're absolutely spot on. And I know that made you laugh there, Travis. That from Tim, I thought it was fantastic. He just said it how it was, and I absolutely loved that. So yeah, big up, Tim, because I know you're watching. So let me know your thoughts on Rachel's answer. So the next question. Next question I'm going to give. Yeah, next question. Tim knows he's welcome on. Next question I'm going to give to you, Josh. Gary says, realistically, who is best suited for the job? I know you said that you want 2 different answers when looking at it. From a fan view versus Levy's view. Levy will probably think Rodgers or Potter. Come with no package as they out of work, both playing forward-thinking football. Does the thought of Rodgers or Potter to Tottenham scare you? There you go.
If the thought of Potter or Rodgers didn't scare you, then I think you need to get your head checked. To be honest, do we want Sharkface or the man that didn't even last the full season at Chelsea? Well, I mean, it would be classic Daniel Levy, but I think even more classic Daniel Levy to actually say, if he's going to do that, he's going to stick with Ryan Mason because it's not going to cost him a penny. So
yeah.
I've already told you who I think from a fan point of view we should be going and getting, and that's beautiful bald-headed man there, Arnie Slot.
Brian's here.
The play there. That could be, the.
Sorry to interrupt, Josh, but Brian is here, everyone. Perfect timing where we answer the questions and we will get onto the protest Saturday. So big up, Brian. How are you doing?
Yeah. Big up, everyone. How are we doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Wait a minute. I feel like I'm not representing Josh and Rachel. 1 second.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Right. This is pixelating, right?
Let's do things right. How are we doing?
I definitely need to get my hands on a pair of them. But no, it's great to have you on, Brian. But yeah, Josh, what you saying about Arne Slot and you ended up with Rodgers or Potter? Who would you rather end up with if you had to choose between Rodgers or Potter?
Do you know what? I'd rather have both my legs amputated, to be fair. Neither of them. Or I'd rather stick pins in my eyes. Take your pick of torture that you could give me that I would rather than watch us play football under Brendan Rodgers. I'm not too opposed to Graham Potter because I know he's a nice enough guy. I think he's good value in press conferences. I liked what he did at Brighton. He very much did kick them up a gear before De Zerbi, sort of took on from that, really. He developed talent well, but, What could we get under Brendan Rodgers? My God, just thinking about it. We could play
Relegation.
with quote unquote great character. That's about it. Which would be an improvement on what we currently do, but he's just the most boring manager alive, really. So yeah, in short answer, I mean, I'm absolutely terrified of Brendan Rodgers, but I actually think that Daniel Levy isn't smart enough to go for Brendan Rodgers, because I think he's more likely to go for Ryan Mason, and that's an even bigger fear that I have. So yeah, the man behind me, the main man, that's who I think fans should get behind and want. I think for Daniel Levy, it's a no-brainer because he's great at developing talent, as I said, that costs next to nothing. Hanchko, Gertruda, Gertrude, to name but a few players in that team. You know, he set up the base of that team at RZ that has made the semi-finals of the Conference League as well. So yeah, I mean, everything that Daniel Levy wants, a bargain buy. You know, someone that can go back to the sort of Poch days of getting lucky with £5 million signings. Well, there's your man behind me. But yeah, my fear is genuinely that we will have Ryan Mason. So I'm not even, or trying not to think about Brendan Rodgers, because that genuinely would give me nightmares. And I would have to think about what I do next season in terms of going to watch the team if that was the case. But yeah, I suppose waffle over. Absolutely no chance for Brendan Rodgers. Or, you know, my legs are here to be chopped off, frankly.
Yeah, fair enough. We put a lot on the line there. No, thank you, Josh. Brian, welcome in. I'm going to give you the next question from John, who says, will Harry Kane sign a new contract, or will he leave on a free? And how do you think this will affect us? Go for it, Brian.
Okay. Bye-bye, Harry Kane. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye, gone, see ya, ta-da. But don't forget your nice mural with a Spurs Play exclusive content barcode next to it. What will the fans do? Absolutely nothing. Apart from go, do you know what? It was a good time to sell him. He had the last year on his contract. We don't want him to go for free. He was getting on a bit. A good time, good to let him go. That will be the excuse. That will be the excuse that come out of fans that aren't prepared to do anything about it. And yeah, I can't remember what any part of the rest of the question was. Just I've said, Harry, I'm going to say it here.
Will he sign a new contract? Basically,
no, if he does, I question his bloody mental character. Honestly, if he wants to win stuff, like I've said, and I've said this on many a time, and Rachel has heard me scream and shout this in many a group, and when I've spoke to her during games, I don't care what the formation is. I don't care who starts. I don't care about passages of play. I don't care about the results. I don't care who's manager, director of football, trainer, medical team, recruitment team. None of it matters. None of it matters, because we're just going to go through the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And all it's going to do is us people that do YouTube or people on Twitter or social media will say this, and then people will go, "This is the last chance I'm giving Daniel Levy. This is it. This is the
how many times has that been said?"
And then what we'll do is we'll believe something's going to happen, and then 18 months again, we'll all be here again. Rachel and I will be doing what we do. Josh will be doing what Travis will be doing. Everyone will be doing what they do, and we'll be doing the same thing over and over again.
Absolutely.
We could get Pep Guardiola, Klopp together, and we still won't get top four. And they still won't get what they want. Because someone up there thinks he knows what he's doing. People are talking about if Harry. I was talking about on another podcast before, and people going, if Harry Kane goes to Chelsea, he's a Judas to me. I'll clap him off. Off you go.
Yeah.
Harry Kane has done everything we've ever asked of him, that Daniel Levy's ever asked of him, and more. And more. And has said time and time again, match my ambition, I stay. Match my ambition, I stay. If he goes to Chelsea because of Poch, fair play to you. Off you go. No bad blood, no bad feelings whatsoever.
And Brian, I don't know where you stand with Poch at Chelsea, but for me, I don't blame Poch at all. I'm not like the majority of the fans. Why? You can't blame him for taking a Premier League job. This is purely and only on Daniel Levy, because you're not going to approach him, right, Brian? Because I think he'll be sitting here tonight going, Pochettino is the one, right? He is the one, but he won't do it because he won't accept it was a mistake sacking him and they wasted the last 4 years, because that is Daniel Levy. He can't accept his mistake and he can't learn from his mistake. So where do you stand with Pochettino for Chelsea? For me, it's purely on Levy.
Just very, very quickly, when it comes to this, if the phone call rang tonight and it was Daniel Levy saying, come back, Poch, he'd come. It's that simple.
That's why I think he's taken so long to Chelsea. I think Pochettino's waiting.
You have all these fans. I was not one of them, because as much as I would want Poch back, not under this ownership, under different ownership. But if it comes to it, the 30,000, 20,000, whatever fans it was that was singing his magic, Pochettino. Daniel Levy hasn't listened to you again because he knows best. He knows best. He has been out of work, literally saying, or not saying, we all know who wants that job back.
Yeah. How many hints do they have to drop that they want to come back into management and they want to go back to Tottenham? And Levy cannot see it.
Poch don't know us. We owe Pochettino. Pochettino don't know us.
Exactly.
If he goes to Chelsea, I won't be happy. I will not be
happy. I won't boo him, though.
I won't boo him at all.
We should be booing Daniel Levy first before we even think about booing someone who's very, very well closest to success at Tottenham. And Levy owes Pochettino for the way he sent him off. Pochettino done a lot for the club. It's clear to see that he overachieved. He wasn't backed. I made it clear that year we got to the Champions League final, 1 or 2 signings in January, and we would have won the Champions League. It was clear to see we needed those fresh legs. But no, thank you for that answer, Brian. Rachel, I'm going to give you the next question. Rachel, I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Will we have a sporting director before the season ends?
I'll see pigs fly.
Yeah.
No,
going to happen, isn't it?
We probably only won one beginning of the season either. It come to the end of the season and we've still got no one. We're going to end up with Brian Mason, no one. Because Daniel
It's like with the manager. Like with Nuno, it'll be the 350th choice again, who won't be listened to and won't be back. We could have Pep Guardiola. But I still don't think that we're going to win anything or even come close to win anything. Because if Pep Guardiola isn't going to be listened to, isn't going to be backed, isn't going to be valued whatsoever, then he's not going to do anything at Tottenham. He wouldn't have won the trophies he's won at City without the backing, without the support. And he just won't get them at Tottenham. Nobody, I can't name you one person who would come in like that and win at Tottenham. And that says something. If Mourinho and Conte are winning everywhere but Tottenham, you got Nuno leaves Tottenham, wins a trophy. Pochettino leaves Tottenham, wins a trophy. Mourinho leaves Tottenham, wins a trophy. What will Conte do? Leave Tottenham and win a trophy. Can Levy not see that? And can he not see that he's the only one? Right? I think the club is rotten. The club is rotten from top to bottom. But change starts from the very, very top. That starts with the hierarchy, and that is common sense right now. Any fans who can't see it must be ridiculously. Levy, they know Levy's secret somewhere, because for me, it's really, really clear to see. Josh, I'm going to give you the next question. Again, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Will we have a new manager announced before the end of the season, or after, or maybe as the season hasn't even started next season?
We'll have a manager in place by July the 1st. I'm going to be bold.
I don't think so.
I'm not saying it's not going to be Ryan Mason or Brendan Rodgers or Billy Cairns. Could be him. Could be you or me.
I would love that. I would love that.
Could be you or me, right?
You get to call out Levy even more then.
Yeah, right. At the end of the day, I do think we will get one. I think we'll get a sporting director and a manager before July the 1st. Because if we don't, then you do realise it is literally Daniel Levy on his own in the transfer market.
Do you know, Josh, if it let's just say it all happens July the 1st, that will be 97 days. We're at day 50 now.
Manager.
47. We're 20 to 3 weeks and 1 day away from beating our own record of the longest search for what club, apart from us when we went 72 days looking for Nuno, goes 50 days without a manager, and not only 50 days without a manager, sacking the manager you replaced to hire the manager you sacked.
Sacking the interim and replacing him with the interim, the next one in line is bonkers. But right now, Brian, for me, we don't have a manager. The women's team doesn't have a manager, right? The system's been put in charge, the same as Stellini, and Spurs women could potentially, sadly, get relegated if they lose to Reading. They've got 2 games left. That will represent, Levy and the lack of backing. For example, Spurs women and Man United women, they came up at the same time. Man United women are now top of the league. The Spurs are right down here. That's investment. That's someone who cares. And that is like with Arsenal. 10, 11 months ago, we were above them. Now look at the gap now. Can you really see that closing anytime soon? So there's no sporting director either. There's no plan. There's no ambition. There's no structure. And change only starts from the very, very top. It's like with Conte. Brian, I know I speak to you a lot off here, and I completely agree with you. Conte's rant, Conte's interview after that Southampton draw was probably one of the best things that ever happened to this club. I was listening to it back again yesterday. It's sad, but it's true. He spoke nothing but facts, and he was only sacked for being outspoken and speaking the truth. So that is seriously only.
Harry, that is
ridiculous.
Conte's rant was the best thing to ever happen to this football club under Daniel Levy, and I'm including Lucas Moore's hat-trick in Amsterdam. Antonio? The 2 best things to happen under Daniel Levy is Antonio Conte's outburst and that 6-1 thumping by Newcastle. The 2 best things to happen to Tottenham Hotspur under ENIC, period.
Yeah, I can completely agree with you. 100%. Travis, I'm going to give the next question for you. Will Son look to leave if Harry Kane goes in the summer, or will they go in opposite directions?
I think Sonny will stay because I think the South Koreans in general are very, very committed, very loyal people.
Levy won't want Son to go. Remember the money it brings into the club with South Korean fans. The amount they spend in the shop, the amount they pay for the tickets. He's bringing money into the club. Levy won't like that. That's for sure.
Well, exactly. But no, I think
until they got the stadium built. I mean, the hotel.
The way I look at Sonia, I think he's been at Tottenham for quite some time now. I can't remember the actual year that he joined, which is quite bad. But he's been at Spurs for quite a long time, and I don't recall any teams coming in for him in the transfer window saying we want Heung-min Son to play for our team. I don't, the likes of Real Madrid
did look at him.
PSG did as well.
PSG, okay, fair enough. But he's never been a fully wanted player like Harry Kane has. When you got the likes of Bayern Munich come knocking on the door, Man City knocking on the door for Harry Kane. But I think if we lost Kane and we lost Sonny, would Levy find a replacement? Of course he would. He'd find it through the academy squads. He wouldn't pay out.
Yeah.
We've only got to look at the money we spent out on the Gareth Bale money. We've got Eunice Cabal, Paulinho, Christian Eriksen. They were all, probably barring one, a complete waste of money, in my opinion. And I think if we got the money for Kane and we got the money for Sonny, I think that the money would be wasted again, or the money would go elsewhere, like it always does with Levy.
Absolutely, completely agree with you there, Travis. Rachel, last question for John. Will Spurs sign Kulusevski on a permanent contract, and do you want him?
I feel bad for him because for his injury, he was a good player. We were singing his name. Rumours coming out, we want a discount. Typical Levy. Why do we want a discount? But he played enough to warrant us to. He's a good player. He got injured. All players get injured. He just got to get back to where he was. So part of me saying, no, I think he'd go back. But the other part, it wants him to stay.
But if he carries on his form,
thank you, Rachel.
If he carries on his form the way he currently is next season, would you still say, oh, it's his injury? How long does a player need when they're injured, because he's been back for months now and he's not got back.
I completely agree with you, Josh. But at the same time, with Richarlison as well, although he scored his first goal the other day, and I'm willing to give him chances next season, but I hate it when fans are turning around to me and going, "Yeah, but he worked hard."
But
every player should work hard. If you don't have the quality and you're not impacting the game, then you should not be in the team. I can work hard. If I'm no good at my job, there's no point, is there? So I hate people turn around and says, "Oh, he puts a shift in." Everybody should put a shift in. It's ridiculous. He needs to offer more next season.
He's a number 9 and he's playing right wing, left wing. You know,
there you go.
Playing all sorts of
everything you need to know
in his position, and he'll perform.
Yeah. Update, by the way, it's 3-0 Liverpool, which it could potentially send Leicester down. It looks like Liverpool is still on for that Champions League hunt. Brian, I'm going to ask you the final question from Ben. What's your thoughts on the membership prices increasing today? And are you surprised? And does it surprise you at all? I know the answer with the does it surprise you bit. What do you think of it?
I'm so happy you asked me this. I'm so happy. This cuts very, very deep with me. And the reason that this cuts very, very deep with me is people will probably know that, yes, I am here in London. Yes, I am British. Yes, I am born and bred. But this is not home for me anymore. I'm here for a considerable amount of time for various reasons. But I have the privilege of living in the great country of Canada and Toronto being my home city. The best city in the world, the happiest I've ever been. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because that One Hotspur membership is what many fans on the international, not forget the fans here, because the fans here are just as important, but the way that this club work and operate is to be able to get a ticket or be assured a ticket if you're travelling from, let's say, Toronto, I used as the example. You need to be a member of an official fan group, Toronto Spurs being the case, which we charge $25 for, but every single thing goes back into the club, into the fan club. Nothing goes to Levy, nothing goes. But you also have to give this, I'm going to choose my words carefully, person, I'm really trying my hardest not to get vile here, this man, you have to have a One Hotspur membership. You have to pay £60 a year or whatever it is, living in a foreign country, and pay for a membership to be able to phone Tottenham Hotspur and say, right, I'm coming over for a game. Whether it's Toronto, Delhi, Israel, Greece, Australia, Korea, South Africa, Belgium, anywhere in the world, you have to have your One Hotspur membership in order to then have to be a member of a fan club to guarantee a ticket. Spurs have a limited amount of tickets for every single game up until a certain date. And let's just say it was for the Brentford game 2 weeks ago. They'd say, right, you didn't request any for Brentford. We release this to the general public now. So the international fan base that when they come over from wherever in the world, spend thousands of pounds, dollars, euros, whatever currency it is, the equivalent of thousands of pounds to fly over here. They then have to pay for accommodation if they don't have family. There's a load of things. So this increase as well, the perks that come with it, not one of them suit the international fan base.
Yeah.
It's all for stuff in the stadium. Yes, you'll get a voucher off the club shop, but you'll get discounts on the F1 car, Go Truck. Yes, they're going to fly over just for that, are they? Or
you still have to pay for it. You only get a discount. You still have to pay for it.
Not only that, you got to pay for it. But the biggest lie of this crooks, and like I've said, and Rachel and Josh will know as I say it a lot, there's that famous saying: the best place to hide things is in plain sight. He is doing this deliberately in front of your face. He said, because of the global cost of living crisis, we're not going to increase season tickets. So I'm sorry, do Spurs members not fall into this global cost of living crisis?
Yeah.
Why are members, which may only be £7, it may only be £7, £8, whatever, you times that by the hundreds of thousands of One Hotspur members, a large portion of them not living in this country, and you say you're not going to raise season ticket prices and that it was all just talk and it was never going to happen, but then you go and charge the members a majority of them that live internationally that can't get to the games but can only get to the games if they give you this money, you then increase the prices. So once again, this man has lied in front of your face,
Yeah.
promised things he can't deliver, and I'd kind of get it if we'd won a trophy. I'd kind of get it if every penny goes back into invested into the club. I'd kind of get it if we're challenging for the Champions League. This is a season where apparently we're heavily investing. We're going to back a manager, and we've gone backwards.
Yeah.
And because we've gone backwards, and because you're going to miss out on Europe, and because you're going to miss out on all that money, what can you do? Oh, I'm going to charge people that live thousands of miles around the world extra money because they need it to be able to come to this club and guarantee a ticket. This man is a mercenary. This man is a crook, and this man has to be stopped. So when I think about what he's doing, this has really, really, really infuriated me as an international fan now.
Yeah, and Josh, what did you say about someone you knew said about a story what they said to Levy to his face? What did Levy reply to them?
Yeah, and Brian knows Ian Lubin.
Very well.
When Levy said to him his face, well, it's a privilege to see your team play, as in response to the season ticket increase. You know, this is someone that's been going home and away double my lifetime. You know, probably I don't know how old Brian is, but probably
44 next month.
Yeah, so he's been going home and away longer than you've even been alive. That's some perspective, right?
Yep.
Should we do the maths and say what 4 times your lifetime, Harry?
Yeah.
There or thereabouts.
Yeah,
right?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Absolutely disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. The Supporters Trust have released a statement.
Yep, I've just seen that.
Saying that they weren't told by the club and that they have requested an urgent meeting for the justification of this. I would go as far to say, and I'm not one that's going to shout down the Supporters Trust, because I think if you're in a situation that they're in, I actually feel very sorry for them, because their job is to represent us. But we know full well that if you say anything against the chairman, or you say anything the chairman does not agree with, he restricts your access. That's why people that work in the media have to be careful about what they say about Daniel Levy, because then they won't be allowed to the press conferences.
He does the same to management.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Exactly, Travis. This is the thing.
It's a running theme, guys. Running theme.
Just like Josh said, the trust have come out and said we were given no warning whatsoever they were going to do this. They use the trust as and when they can. Now, listen, the one thing I will say about the trust, Josh is right. I'm sorry, Harry. I'm just going to talk about the trust very quickly. I got very, very annoyed with the trust. I used to get so pissed off with the trust because I think, and I say this openly, I think the terminology supporters trust gets lost in translation. I interpreted that as you're there for us. You're there to represent us, and you're there to go to war for us. But then you have to take into account what they do for things in the stadium and people getting tickets from across the world, for people with disabilities that have trouble. There's a lot of stuff they do that doesn't revolve around what goes on the pitch. And I think that gets misunderstood. But Rachael will know this. Recently, especially in January, when the trust started piping up and making pressure on Sky Sports News, was only after we started piping up. When I say we, I mean the group Rachael and I are with, and started doing the training ground and tweeting like we did and getting Levy out sung in the stadium. They only seem to pipe up once we start going. I also remember when we were doing our protests, they wouldn't come and support us, but next to us, they did a protest to stop the Newcastle ownership going through. And we're there like, well, wait a minute. Surely you should be worrying about what's going on just over there. But Josh is right. The trust even with the questions that they asked. The very first question they asked is, what is the immediate or long-term strategy for the club? And I could tell you in the first sentence how much this was going to be all bullshit, because they said, well, in the last 16 years, Tottenham have qualified for Europe on 15 occasions. And I was like, well, you weren't asked about the past. You were asked about the present and the future.
Yeah.
So you're doing it immediately, but people don't see it. And the Trust have yet again had something done behind their backs, and they're there to pick up the pieces. So now I'm sure that everyone's going, oh, the Trust do nothing for us, and they don't do it. Why aren't you protesting? Why aren't you? They don't even know what's going on, and they're meant to be the guys that Levy goes to.
That's just everything about the club and Daniel Levy, though, for me, Brian, at the moment. But listen, so we've got the home game coming up next weekend, Saturday, and I'm assuming protests are being planned for it. So Brian and Rachel go for it in terms of promoting the protests and how people can have their voices heard if they're sick of the way the club is being run.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure people will know. Josh knows where we'll be. Josh has people. Listen, Rachel and I, and the people that we do this with, have been doing this for now. What, Rach? 2.5, 3 years. 2.5, 3 years.
Yep.
Everywhere, every time we say we're going to be there, we're there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what abuse comes our way. Doesn't matter how many people want to say have turned up or might turn up or are there. We've always been there.
Yeah.
And this Saturday represents the last home game of the season. A season where, as we've said, we were meant to be aiming for the stars, and we've just seen teams like Brighton and Aston Villa and other teams. That lot down the road. All right, they've lost and they've choked, but I tell you what, I'd rather be in Arsenal's position than Tottenham's position. I'd rather choke 36 games. I'd rather take Manchester City to a 36 out of 38 game title race than what we've had to go through just since Friday. So this is very easy for us. Me and Rachel can reel this up. I'm talking about just since Friday. We've had Nagelsmann reject us. Poch go to Chelsea, or pretty much. We've had the here we go. Lost to Villa. Brighton have leapfrogged us. And now the One Hotspur membership has gone up. That's just 4 days. That is just 4 days of this season and 4 days of the last 22 years and what we've had to suffer. This is we've just been lied to, manipulated, whereas the football club has declined, the business has shut up. New sponsors, new go-karts, new concerts, new this. Yeah, we have players that have been here for 9 years and we're extending their contracts because it's cheaper to extend rather than to bring in.
Stops us signing someone else.
So it's come to the point now. Now, I don't understand why 62,500 seater stadium, you take 10,000 away and me being generous for away fans, corporate, whatever. So let's say 52.5. I know for a fact that people that go to that ground will know when Levy Out is being chanted, it's more than the 200 that we have outside. So where are you when we're trying to make a difference?
Yeah.
Where are you when we're having pelters thrown our way and saying change won't be made? Where are you? You're at the ground. You're singing Levy Out. I understand you've had a hard week at work and you want to relax and have a few beers. I understand that. I get that. But what we on 3 o'clock kickoffs, we're there at 11 a.m. Sometimes 10 a.m. setting it up. And we stay till the end, just before kickoff. We give up our time to set up, and people can't come for 20 minutes, but then they want to go, Levy Out, and won't even sustain it. So if you're happy with the way this football club is going, fair play, enjoy it. You've got the team you want. You got the team you deserve. But if you want change and you have had enough, come opposite the club shop. I'll be there from 9 a.m. I'm sure Rachel will as well, setting up all the banners and everything. We've said to everyone 10 a.m. You'll go into the game. Just stop by opposite the club shop and have your voice, have your feelings heard, show you're angry, and let's do something to try and get this once famous, beloved, incredible, iconic football club back to the glory it used to be, and is widely getting wiped out. Our history is going. It's gone. Why should we accept it? So if we'll be there 9 a.m. Get there when you can, if you can, and just come and help us try and make this man's life as miserable, as uncomfortable, and as toxic as possible. And please God, we can see the end of his reign soon and a glory day arise again.
No, thank you, Brian, for that. So, yeah, don't
Well
forget to
said,
get
Brian.
involved in the protests Saturday. I know Brian and Rachel will be down there for sure. Before we end for today's show, because I reckon it's gone on for a while, actually, let's all we'll go around the houses and have your prediction for the Brentford game. So I'm going to start with you, Josh. We winning, we losing, or we drawing? Take a pick.
I'm going to go with a win, actually. I'm going to go with a win. And we're going to get battered by Leeds on the last day of the season.
Correct.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. That would be so Tottenham. Travis, go for your score prediction.
I think we're going to lose 2-1 against Brentford, and I think Ellen Road is going to be absolutely buzzing last game of the season like we've never seen it before, and I think we're going to get absolutely run round Yorkshire.
Yeah, no, I do think so. So thank you, Travis. Rachel, we winning Saturday for you or no?
No,
No. What do you reckon the score will be?
we're going to draw. And can't. So, like Travis said, Leeds are going to be up for it. And we're getting battered.
Brian, what do you reckon?
Don't care. Don't care.
Yeah.
The only thing I care about in that game, and I put a
Just get
tweet out
Levy
about
out.
it. All I care if our stupid fan base decide to sing "You came second in a 1-horse race" and take the piss out of Arsenal when our own house is on fire, then it's just like, what are you doing? I don't, like I said to you before, I don't care about the result. I actually think we're going to lose. And Travis is right. I've said it as well. We go to Leeds. If they need to stay up, if this game is to stay up, our players, I'd rather play the youth team. Because our players, you can't hurt their feelings and you can't scream loudly or you can't sing, because this team, they can't even do it at Sheffield United. They can't.
No.
As soon as Leeds could play their kids. If those fans start singing and chanting and make it toxic, and trust me, if anyone has been to Ellen Road, when that place needs to be roaring, that place will be roaring. And
if they're still up by then, but if they lose to West Ham, they could be in a potentially sticky situation going into the game. But if they get something like that West Ham game and they win it to stay up, then it could be difficult.
Yep. And like I said, I don't care. Like I said, even when next season starts, I don't care about the results. Don't care.
Yeah, fair enough.
One mission in life.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Fair enough. I think we'll beat Brentford this weekend. And I think we're, like you say, I think Leeds will be up on that final day. And I sadly think they will turn us over, because I know what we're like. And Leeds, when they need a result, they always seem to find it. When they need an atmosphere, they always seem to find it. Sam Allardyce, he's done this so many times before. He will know. Tottenham Hotspur as well. He's played us enough times to know how to win, how to get it just about over the line. And one thing's for sure, Leeds will throw everything at it. But that is it for today's show. It's been a lengthy one, so thank you all for tuning in. And thank you to all, because I know there's a couple individually who stayed right until the very end. So I appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time to watch and listen. So Josh, firstly, it's a pleasure to have you on your debut on the channel. Where can people find you?
Just there, Josh Hughes TV on Twitter. I don't post much work stuff, but I'm going to try and put a few more bits out there, and keep your eyes peeled for a special announcement in the coming weeks. And you can also find me on Twitter Spaces, hashtag the Spurs Social, me and Johnny Ham, usually every week.
Okay, thank you very much, Josh. Travis, second time on the channel. Where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter. My Twitter page is @officialcaster. I'm on Instagram and I am on Facebook. So yeah, obviously I'll be doing a lot more on Twitter now in regards to your site, Harry, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I'll give you massive points and a lot of respect for you for what you're doing, especially with your bits and pieces about autism awareness. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And like I said before, if we can at the right time do a podcast on mental health as well, that'd be absolutely good.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely have plans to do that. I think that'd be fantastic. But no, Travis, it's a pleasure to have you on once again. Thank you very much. Rachel, where can people find you regularly on the channel now?
I'm regular on here, but I'm also on Twitter. I'm all constantly tweeting. People probably get bored, but oh well.
You sound like you're from London.
I'm from Essex.
Essex. That's right. That's where I've just come from. I live in Kent now.
I'm an Essex girl.
That's where I'm from, Kent.
You can hear me when we're in the high road. You can hear me halfway down the road.
I can hear it from Toronto when Rachel's on the high road.
There you go. Brian, where can people find you? Thank you for hopping on.
No, listen, Harry, it's my pleasure. As you know, you and I have grown close and always here to help and support your great channel and everything you do. Yeah, people can find me at Tottenham on Tour. Obviously, people know I do a lot of work. We are Tottenham TV, but my channel is Tottenham on Tour. I also join a lot of Josh's spaces with Johnny. I've got a show coming out tomorrow. I recorded it this evening. Every day this week at midday, starting tomorrow, there is going to be a half-hour show, and it is solely, there is no football talk. There is no new manager talk. There is no Kane sign a contract, who's coming in, who's coming out. It is just solely devoted to showing the lies, the deceit, the crap that we've had to go through underneath this ownership in the build-up to these protests. Guarantee you, Daigle rants are all over them. The legendary Daigle rants, if I do say myself, have gone up a level. This week, I've said I feel like I'm in the SAS, ready to go to war. I've gone through my basic training. I've been given my mission, and my mission is Levy out. And yeah, so people will find me on Tottenham on Tour. Obviously, I'm on Twitter. I'm everywhere, basically. And this week, people probably be sick of my ugly mug, but I don't really care because I've got to get the message out and promote the protests.
The Tottenham fans, people like you, Brian.
I'm Travis' brother. Trust me, I've said it whilst there's air in my lungs. I and the people that I stand with don't stop till Levy out and Enoch out. Is Levy gone and Enoch gone? Will not stop. We will only get stronger, bigger, and there are a lot of plans for the summer. So keep an eye on. Keep an eye on everything because it's going to be a big summer for protests, whereas it's not going to be a big protest for spending. So
yeah.
The only good thing I've said about it being over here is at least this time when we're protesting in the summer, I can go to the blooming training ground and get a suntan, not frostbite.
Love that. This is a perfect way to end. Thank you all for coming on. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you liked it, leave a like. Yeah, thank you all for your fantastic questions this morning, your fantastic comments, much appreciated. If you want to follow me, if you do, my tag's there, HarryScarf22. And a quick reminder, there'll be no show next Monday 8 p.m. because I am on BBC Essex Radio talking about autism, football and neurodiversity, so the show will not go ahead sadly next Monday, but we'll be back the following Monday on the reaction to the final day of the season against Leeds United. Thank you all for coming on. As we
one thing only, Daniel Levy out.
And as
absolutely, as we always say on the show, Levy out and come on you Spurs.
Bye.